Hello everybody, and today we're going to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program, specifically for people who are self-employed that have no employees. We're going to go over, do you have to have employees to be eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program? What documents and information do you need to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program? What do you need to do once you get the money? And what you need to do to obtain full forgiveness. Just a disclaimer right away at the beginning, I am not an employee of the SBA, so I cannot approve applications. You'll need to verify all the information with the SBA, but I am an owner of a limited liability company, and I'm self-employed, have no employees, and did obtain the first Paycheck Protection loan and got full forgiveness. So make sure to subscribe, smash the like button, and we will go ahead and get started. All right, do you have to have employees to be eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program? The answer is no. You are an employee of your business. I know that's hard for people to wrap their head around, but the business does not exist without you. There would be no work getting done, nothing would be getting made, nothing without you. So you are an employee of your own business first and foremost. Per the definition of the IRS, self-employment is someone who is generally in business for oneself. The biggest test for someone to determine if they are self-employed or not, based on how they get paid, is do the customers or the person you get money from take taxes out of that money before they give you the money? If the answer is no, then you are considered self-employed or an independent contractor. And those two terms can be used interchangeably here. Independent contractors typically work for an individual company, and the company does not take taxes out of their checks that they give them, which gives the actual person a little more autonomy in how they get their job done. But kind of for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use self-employed and independent contractor interchangeably, so don't get lost with that definition. And as I said, some people get paid via 1099s at the end of the year. The first document that you will need is a Schedule C. If you are in business for oneself, per the IRS definition, and you make more than $400 a year, you must file a Schedule C with your tax returns. That's where some people are getting screwed up, because I'm not sure when they're doing their taxes via TurboTax or whatever program they have at home, whether they're actually filing all the forms that need to be filed. You do need to file a Schedule C if you make more than $400 in self-employment income. That's just the way it works, not my rule, IRS's rules, just so you know for the future. So no, you do not need employees in order to file for a Paycheck Protection Program loan. I do not have employees, have not had employees. During the first round, I was able to obtain the PPP with just myself, and I paid myself. All right, what do you need to apply for the PPP? You'll need that Schedule C. That Schedule C that gets filed with your taxes, or if you work for somebody and they give you a 1099 at the end of the year, you can also use that on your Paycheck Protection application. People who would be getting a 1099 would be, for example, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, paper delivery people. If you clean an office building, basically people will hire independent contractors to do things that they don't need to supervise quite as closely, so that way they don't have to pay taxes, they don't have to worry about workers' comp, health insurance, stuff like that. So that is why they will hire 1099 workers instead of an actual employee. Now, when I applied for my first draw Paycheck Protection Program, I used an online service called Kabbage because my bank had quit accepting applications by the time I finally got my stuff together and got out there and did it. Go figure. So I used the website Kabbage, which is now processing applications through K-Servicing and Cross River Bank. Not that any of that matters. On that website specifically, it'll ask for the number of employees, and this is where I try to really stress you are an employee of your business. Your business would not exist without you. There would be nothing getting done, Nobody, no services, no products, nothing. So on that application specifically, you have to mark 1 for employee because you are an employee of your business. Once you are approved for a PPP and the money arrives in your bank account, first thing you're going to want to do, if you are collecting any unemployment through the Pandemic Unemployment Compensation Program, you are going to stop collecting that. Now, you're not going to stop filing weekly claims. People think you have to stop filing weekly claims. You want to try to keep that going because as soon as you're done with your Paycheck Protection Program, if you are not back to work and making the money that you would normally make, you can continue to still draw off of unemployment. So what you'll do is you'll go in and you'll file weekly claims, and for each week, you will say that you earned whatever it is for your weekly compensation for the paycheck protection, which I'll kind of go into how to pay yourself here in just a little bit. Pretty simple, but you will put in wages, how much you pay yourself every week, and then if they have a spot for you to put a note in there, just write paycheck protection loan or whatever. Very simple, that way they know. But the most important thing I want to stress is you cannot double dip. That is illegal. You will get caught. You will get fined, jailed, whatnot. You cannot double dip. You have to quit filing unemployment, but you're still going to file your weekly claims. You're just going to report the income that you're getting, and then they'll quit paying you for that period of time, just so you know. So when you get your loan, you will pay yourself with at least 60% of your funds. In order to have a forgivable PPP, you have to pay yourself with at least 60% of the funds. And a lot of people who have small businesses don't necessarily have a business bank account or are very confused as to how to do the PPP paying yourself. There are free online paycheck pay stub templates that work through Microsoft Word. Just go ahead, go online, grab one of those. Those are particularly important if you do not have a business bank account because you're going to have some kind of paper trail as to how you've paid yourself. And just filling those out every week for if you're going to do the 8-week period or the 10-week period, which we can go into a little bit later. But filling those out every week will serve as your paper trail. Very simple. And it will make forgiveness much easier. In my personal opinion, what I did with my paycheck protection loan is I used the entire 100% to pay myself. I didn't want to mess with paying for utilities and everything else. And with my business, I don't have a lot of overhead costs. I don't have rent, electricity, stuff like that. So I used the whole thing to pay myself, which in the end turned out to be the best way because then when I went to get forgiveness, all they asked was another copy of my Schedule C, and then they'll ask, what did you use the funds for? And I just put in there that I used 100% for payroll or for owner's compensation, which is another term for you paying yourself. You're taking an owner's compensation, you're paying yourself. And the SBA was perfectly fine with that, and they forgave the loan at 100%. So I did not owe anything back on my first loan. Now, just going into paying yourself a little bit more, you're going to want to, I know it says you can pay yourself monthly, you can pay yourself bi-weekly. If you're drawing on unemployment, it's going to be easiest to use your paycheck protection loan and pay yourself weekly. And it also will help with the paper trail. So you have every week you show that you've paid yourself. What I did is I did automatic transfers from my business checking into my personal checking, and there was a space for a note, and in the note of that I wrote that it was for it was a paycheck for the week of whatever, and it was part of the Paycheck Protection Program. So that way it creates a paper trail in my bank account should I ever get audited, should I ever get questioned, which I don't anticipate because my loan amount wasn't huge like some of these other multi-million-dollar companies, but it creates a paper trail just to cover your rear end, which is what you want to do. You want to make sure you're covered because it's your butt that's on the line if something goes wrong. And lastly, some forgiveness tips and advice to make sure that your PPP gets 100% forgiven. as I said, my experience with the PPP, pay yourself for the entire 10 weeks. You'll want to elect the 24-week period is what I did, because then it allowed me to use the 2.5 times my monthly income or the 10 weeks and pay myself. And I paid myself the entire 10 weeks, made forgiveness absolutely simple. So simple. It was just totally ridiculous that you even had to fill out this application because it was so simple. So I just paid myself. They asked for a copy of my Schedule C again. They asked me what I used the money for. And then I just had to certify it at the end and simply click submit. And away it went. And then I heard back like a week or two later that said the entire thing had been forgiven. All the interest and stuff had been taken away, whatnot. So it was very, very simple. If you use your PPP to pay any utilities or rent, make sure you have authentic receipts. And I'm talking receipts that come from the utility company or from the person that you're paying rent to, because the SBA will probably ask for copies of those if you are using it to pay for any kind of utilities or rent. But if you pay yourself, simple process. Highly recommend it. Simple process. Nothing to worry about. So in closing, please, 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 as with everything on the internet, always make sure to verify the sources. This is my personal experience dealing with the SBA and with my first Paycheck Protection Program loan. I can tell you most of the information in here is going to be accurate for your situation, but every person's situation is different. Verify, verify, verify any information. You don't want to get caught in a bad situation because of some bad advice somebody gave you. So always, always verify. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click subscribe, share, give this to somebody who might need it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.